the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, hello and happy 2019. It is the first full week of January in the year of our Lord 2019. And we got a new project, new year, new project. We are starting this week on the K'Tinga, the 350 scale K'Tinga. I've had this in my greedy little hands for a while and been itching to get to it, but I wanted to get the last big project done and off the books before I started on this, which is not true. I have started on this. I just haven't done anything really involved in it. I've started making the templates. I've done some of the original computer work on it. You can see it's gray, so obviously I put a base coat on it, even though it's molded in black. Black plastic is not the easiest thing to see when you are scribing off to make masks, so a quick gray coat is all I needed. Some ground rules. You may hear me refer to two. I have two of these kits. The first one I am building out of the box as is with the Polar Lights lighting kit. Now, the only difference in that is I am not using the Polar Lights photo etch. And the reason for that is I am saving it. The second kit I build after this one is painted and done is going to be what I would call the bells and whistles issue. I'm going to be using that etch on it, and I'm going to be using Ralph Tenaglia's lighting kit for that, because from what I've talked to Ralph about, from what he's been saying, it's going to be the bee's knees. So I want to wait and put that one into the good build. And the nice thing about these 350 scale K'Tingas is when they're built, they don't take up a huge amount of room. It's not like a huge saucer like on the refit or in Enterprise D for that matter. You can put two of these. And since the beginning of the opening of the motion picture famously features three of these, it's not unusual to see them in formation. So those are the ground rules. The first ship I build is going to be as the kit instructs with their lighting kit, so it may not be as elaborate as the second one that I build. So knowing that, and if you're ready to sign on to that, let's get started on building this first K'Tinga. Okay, so I took a little bit of this afternoon away from the K'Tinga to fix the plate that's on the base of the D, to redo it with the dash in the D like it should be. So there you be. Morning and welcome back. It is Tuesday and work is progressing, or actually getting a serious start on the K'Tinga, and you'll see this wide array of parts strewn about the desk. And I am doing what I call, and I always do this on every kit when I build it, I do what I call the Hippocratic assembly, and that's the do no harm assembly, and it is the sub-assemblies that I can do that do not impact the whole ship. I mean, there are some kits that must be built stem to stern, exactly as spelled out, or else you will die. Parts that interlock in only one way, and you must build them in a particular order. But this K'Tinga is not like that. Like for example, even with the lighting, I can put the nacelles together and kind of set them aside and have them done. Or I can build a little, I'm going to be, I'll tell you right now, the names of the parts I am not as familiar with as if they were a Federation ship. These guys, the things that go on top of the shuttle bay, I can build those and wire them and kind of set them aside and deal with the seams and sand them and, get them all nice and polished and put away. There are certain parts of the bulb I can put together, and they don't impact other pieces. That's the kind of stuff I'm doing today. And I am really, because I have noticed from spraying these parts and starting to clean them up, that I'm going to nickname I know it's called the IKS AMAR but I'm going to be naming this the IKMS Gordon because it's got so much flash going on. So I'm cleaning up the flash from the seams and from the edges and from the mating surfaces. And once that, I'm going to be taking extra time to do that because I have come to the realization that I've been rushing through my model builds, and I need to spend a lot more time on my preparation. Now I'll just turn the lighting table on here so that I can show you one example of that. On the, how well you can tell it here, on the left-hand side is the little window insert part as it came from the factory. I put a coat of spray on the outside but nothing on the inside, just so that I can lighten it up and see the detail. You don't need it for light blocking on this kit because it's cast in black. But that's the original kit part, and this is after I have gone around with the knife blade and just opened up those windows a little bit. You can't really tell it on the outside. Again, here's the one I opened up a little bit, and here is the original kit part. Just adding that is going to make the windows come up a little bit better. Now, there's no problem with this one. These windows are beautiful, but because this is a curved piece, I think all of the windows did not get opened up as evenly as they could have been. So I'm doing little things like that. And I noticed running through the lighting instructions. Let me turn this back off. See, now you can see. They don't look any different on the outside, but on the inside you can tell, hopefully, that the windows on the one have been opened up a little bit wider on this one than they were on that one. And that's just taking the time with a tiny, tip of a blunted knife blade. I finally have a use for all those knife blades where I've broken the tip of them off. Just taking a little blunted blade. But I'm going through and familiarizing myself with the instructions, particularly the lighting instructions. And I've noticed a boo-boo that if it has been, I know there's a whole cottage industry on picking out the building tips and what might be defects in the kit. I haven't read any of those. I'm going straight with what I see on the table, and as I discover them, I will relay them to you. If you have seen them in other places, good on you, but I'm just going to go through with my own experience and not rely too much on what other people have done. But I did notice right off the bat that since the instructions were done up, this part here has been changed because the instructions call for the instructions make it look as if, let me separate these two. There you go. I'm using the red insert piece that came with the lighting kit for this, and it looks as if the insert piece, or that clear piece, had these two sides built into it. Because it says to cut them off and attach them to this piece. Well, they're already on this piece, so that must have been remolded since the instructions came out. You don't have to worry about that little bit on the lighting instructions. It just looks like you need to put this in place and chuck two bulbs behind it, and you will be good to go. So let's continue to clean up some parts. I know it's not glamorous, but it's something that has to be done. And then we can start on some basic sub-assembling. Okay, we've got a nacelle well underway here. We've got the light block piece, or the light light channel piece. The light channeling piece installed inside. You can see the side lights there and the bottom light there. And once this is dried, I can sand it up and then mask off those lights, and then I'll have this wire going down that I could just bundle it up and put it aside. And I'll do the same for the other warp nacelle, and then I can work on those side boxes. I'm just running around and trying to do some minor constructions here and there. I've got the engines, of course, put together. I've got the side boxes here. I've got them clamped up, and I'm working on the impulse engine housings. And I noticed something that's amiss, And I thought I should point it out. There's a hole missing here. There's a hole on that side right there. There needs to be a matching hole there for that peg. And I'm wondering whether it's easier to nip that peg off or to drill the hole out. So I'm thinking, obviously the easier thing to do is just to nip off that peg, but I kind of like having the attachment point. So let's first try drilling a hole out. Yeah, that was simple enough just to tap that hole out, drill it there. I don't know whether that was just a something I got closed over in the on this particular piece because of the flashlight I mentioned, or whether that's actually missing in all kits. But easy enough to fix, no biggie. Took 10 seconds in a pin vise, so I wouldn't let it detract you. Let's see, like I said, I'm going around just cleaning up bits and things, parts that I can deal with before I have to start putting any serious masking down or wiring into. So let's see how much further we can get. Welcome back. It is Wednesday, and starting to, I have a bit of Enterprise D lag, a little bit of Galaxy class lag, because this thing is taking so little time to do that I'm going, well, wait a minute, I'm rushing through some stuff. This isn't taking as long as I'm used to, and it's because it's a smaller kit. It's not a garage kit, and it notably has no windows, or not nearly as many windows as the Galaxy class did. So what I'm doing today is a quick paint inventory to see what kind of greens and browns I have on hand, and that'll give me a shopping list of what I need to go out and pick up. But you can see I've already started making some masking shapes and working on that aspect of it. But I think I need to do a quick hobby shop run. Let me go and I'll be right back. Okay, regarding this K'Tinga template set, there will be two types of things in it. One are clear part masks for windows and running lights, beacons, things like that. And the second is for colored plating. Here's a good example of colored plating. What I would do in this instance would be to spray the whole deck here tan, or whatever colors you choose. I'm not going to dictate what colors. Tan, and then put these masks over it to protect that tan color, then spray the green color around it. That's the one way to use it. And the second way to use them is for masking clear parts, like on the spots here on the nacelle. See, there's there and there, and then there's one in the back, and then those will stay on and keep the clear parts protected. And that's traditionally used for window masking, where I would mask off each individual window with a little bit of yellow vinyl to keep that from getting paint in it. But when you get something like this, when you have tiny little holes, that's not really as practical as I would like it to be. It would take a lot of work, and it would mean cutting out tiny shapes, which the plotter doesn't like to do. Now, in the K'Tinga kit, they have provided this piece, which is meant to be a backer and a form for this piece. They did a smart thing by inject molding this flat. They could get all of the detail in there that they needed, and it's thin enough that it will wrap around this form to give you the front arc. This is the front set of windows that goes here, rather than making this a curved piece, because when you make that a curved piece, because of the technical way things are molded, you start to lose detail, or you have to allow it's more complicated. Just take my word for it. It's more complicated to mold this as a curved shape and still retain all the detail than it is to mold it flat. Now, they have also provided forming inserts for these side windows, and you can see what happens. These are a good example. This curved piece, I've already gone over them and told you about how some of them are not as formed as sharply as others, and that's because it's on a curve. Now, I've already got this thin strip glued to the top here, It made it easier to work with, actually. But here you can see another window mask. See that little yellow spot there? That's meant to cover a clear window. And there is another clear window up front here that needs to get masked. But these tiny ones, I'm not even sure how well this piece is even needed on the inside. As a matter of fact, the instructions say it's optional. So even they aren't really saying it's essential. But this piece is essential because it helps keep this to the proper shape. But how do you mask out all those windows? Well, what I'm going to elect to do is, and I've noticed this from looking at the color diagrams, is that these gullies, these trenches that the windows are in, are all the same color, and that is what I'm calling dark iron. It's a very dark green, greenish black, and you'll notice all of my greens here, with the exception of this that I'm not even really going to use that much, are in the warm green family. They are in the earth tone camouflage green colors. They are not the bluish green colors. But that's neither here nor there. But what I want to do is what I'm going to do is spray this whole piece, this darkest green color, and then rather than mask out each individual window, I'm going to put in strips that mask out the whole gullies. They mask out that whole channel, and then I can spray the top lighter color, which will be the top, middle, and bottom strips on this window bank, and it will protect all of the windows. So I can then go ahead and glue that down to this and not worry about getting any overspray on the clear plastic itself. Now, one thing I am going to do before I glue these two pieces together is sand that up, scuff it up, frost it up, because that will help disperse the light more evenly that is going to be behind it. Normally on windows this small, on very large windows, you want them to be clear because you want to see into them, like cockpit windows, canopies, things like that. But when they're small windows like this, it actually is better if you sand up and frost the plastic so that the windows light up more evenly. Okay, here you can see I've let the front window pane dry for a bit, and I've masked off those two channels where all the windows are residing. And I've taken the insert piece, or the backing piece, and just frosted it up with some sandpaper. And the next thing you do is just simply to glue the two parts together. Let's do that. Good morning, welcome back. It is Friday, the last work day of the week. I keep saying facetiously because I don't work, I build models. Come on, it's not work. Like what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. Okay, this is a lot of behind the scenes brain work, and once I get this kind of stuff figured out, the actual building and painting will go fairly quickly. Here we are at the end of week 1, and I'll probably finish this next week. But this week I am getting, like I said, getting the templates designed, getting them drawn up, getting them ready to go. What my goal is for today is to get from the front of the ship back, get the whole boom, get the whole thing, get that done. Get the wiring in, get it glued up, and get it painted. And then be ready to attach it to the big manta part of it back end next week. But like I said, getting going. Now I've got some pieces painted, and I've got some templates applied. And here you can see probably the best example. The 3 stages, not 3 stages of grief, but the 3 stages of the head here. What I've done first, let me lay this down so that I can get all official and pointy with a official pointy toothpick. Here you see 2 different layers of templates. What happens is under the first one, well, take the plastic, take the piece, clean it up, spray it with a primer. Even though it's black, I still spray everything with a gray primer, just because it points out little defects and lets you know where you need to sand and clean up. So I've sprayed the gray primer on it. After I did that, I sprayed took the airbrush and sprayed a buff it's a lighter color. I know I'm not using the prescribed colors on the side of the box. I'm using my own variations because. Anyway, so it's these inner layers. There's two layers of plates here, and the inner layer is a lighter color than the outer layer. So I sprayed the buff over the areas where these plates go. Then I covered those over with the first layer of template. So that's first layer of masking. Then I went in and with the darker color, which is, I'm using desert yellow for the darker color. It looks like this. It is that color. So I sprayed that in the areas where these outside plates go. And then I've covered those up. So the last step to do here is to spray the green overall color and wait for that to dry. And once that dries, I will peel up both layers of templates and you will see the 3-tone effect. I did something very similar here, but I've already gotten to the green and you haven't seen that. But this was originally sprayed that the darkest color, which for me on this kit is dark iron. I'm not using iron. I'm sorry, dark iron. Dark iron. And that is my black substitute because there will be no black on this ship. So I sprayed that first. And then I put the thin strips over the 2 channels where the lights, or where the windows are. And then I glued it down to this inside piece, which is the clear window backing, but it also gives the form because this was a flat piece to start with. So I glued that down, and then I masked the areas off, and then sprayed the green over top of it. So when I peel those thin masks off, you'll see the blackish or the dark iron stripes in it. So that's part of what I want to get built today. Here you can kind of see there was a the darker of the 2 browns in this area. Sprayed that and I've masked those off. Again here, same dark brown. And then in this area, it's actually a lighter green than the body of the ship. So I sprayed that lighter green under where these shapes go. And then this is ready for that similar dark or basic green body color. I'm going to do the same thing here. Here you can see the dark iron sprayed on that bottom. I've got 2 thin strips that will go to cover those windows, and then this piece will be ready for the basic greening. It's weird that these plates don't seem to be any different color. They'll probably get a dry brushing at the top, after everything's done, to bring out a little bit of color, but they're not called out to be any different color than the basic body color. So at least not on the pictures of the box. So for this application, they do not get to be a separate color. And then I'll have enough parts together that I can start putting this whole boom together and getting it ready to get it wired up and get it put together. And if I have time left over, I'll finish this up too. Okay, doing some electrical work here, getting the bulb the front, I say the bulb of the ship, getting it wired in with some LED bulbs. And again, this isn't light kit it's basic, it's kind of remedial, but it'll do the job, I think. But I've got that the torpedo, which will be a constant on. Not really cool, but hey, that's what it does. Got these lights, these LEDs wired in, and they really could have shortened some of these since everything is pre-wired. It might have been nicer had they actually measured and cut down the length between the pre-wired bulbs so that you don't have to have all this looping going on. I had to eat away a little bit more on both sides here on this top lip to make room for the 3 mils, but that's going down nice and flat. So this much is ready to be glued together, and all I need to do now is put some green on this and glue the light in, or glue the LED into the tower here. Now you can see a the wee tiny windows that I have blocked off, so that when I spray, those will retain their redness. And let's see, what else do we need to do? Let's spray some green paint. That's always fun. Okay, so we're coming up on late Friday afternoon, mid-late Friday afternoon, and I am starting to put some of these sub-assemblies together. You can see the lights down in there, and the constant light in the... That doesn't look too bad, but, you know, it's always on. It needs to have its own little switch, but that's not how the stock lighting kit comes. These guys are kind of all put together. You can see the light up in the tower there. I need to really block better where I don't want light to shine. I'm going to have to get some heavier paint out and do that by hand, I think. And what I'm going to do is put these two pieces together and glue this thing down and call it a day. If I can get everything down, I may take these masks off just temporarily to show you how it looks. Okay, I'm playing with the light here that goes behind these grills, and if you do enough painting on these, which I'm going to do this whole piece, paint it and put the clear coat on it, touch it all up, do all of that before at least this front part, before I glue this in from underneath. That way I don't have to worry about making masks to put in here to keep that area clean, but it'll go like that when it's done. And I learned this trick a long time ago, and I'll pass it on to you. This area here, the first thing I did was I lined the inside with reflective tape, and then I stuffed it full of fiberfill, which is stuff that you put in stuffed animals and pillows and things like that. And what it does is diffuse the light. Spread it around a little bit. Doesn't make it quite as sourcey. Now, you know the old saying about what cameras do to LEDs. They accentuate the hot spot on the LED and make it look more sourcey than it actually is. So take that with a grain of salt, but it actually does give it quite a nice little blend by the time you look at that angle. So now that I've got that done, the last thing I'm going to do today is take these masks off of here to show you what that looks like, and then we'll be ready to button it up for the week. Okay, here you go. All the masks are off, and I did a little hand touch-up here and there, just straightening up some lines. And yes, you're always going to touch up stuff by hand. Painting with an airbrush is never the end product, but it sure beats doing the whole thing by hand. When you can spray 90% of it and then touch up the last 5 or 10%, it's still much better because your paint is on so much more evenly, and you don't have the problems with brush strokes and things like that. Now, this is going to sit. Obviously, it's nowhere near done. And when I put in a wash over it, it's really going to blend those colors together. So take that for what it is. But, oops, I forgot those two sorry to beat off the desk there. I forgot those two masks along the front edge. Let me get those off. There, now you can see it with the masks removed and what a difference that makes. What I'm going to do right now is plug it in and light it up, see how she looks. Now, it's not as elaborate a lighting as it would be if it were, a dedicated lighting circuit, but we'll just see. Okay, sorry. Okay, here you go. Windows lit. This is the lighting and those are the spotlights towards the back. And of course the photon in the front. Let me turn this overhead light off so you can see how they show up that way. Okay, not wild about it. You can see that if you look in the windows, you can see. But again, this is the stock kit lighting. This is not how I would do it if I had a lighting circuit from Ralph at my disposal. You would see a whole lot more obvious lighting. But take this for what it is. These things, there's a light here that's blocked I need to clean off. Yeah, there you can see I've removed the mask there. It's a little light there. Big spot hanging out there. You can see in the windows that there is some light going on. And you can see here, it's not shining out like your typical, tanning bed starship. And, oh, I didn't take the masks off of those red windows. So, I'm not going to do that now because I want to put some more light blocking paint up there where it's supposed to go. But there you go. There's those two. Getting a little lens flare there. Lens flare, lens flare. See if I can get both of them to happen at the same time. There you go. But that's the, and of course the plating on the base, on the underside of the neck. And like I said, once I get some washes in there and some blending, these will all look a lot more cohesive, but not too shabby. And again, in the normal light, a little bit better, a little cleaner to see. And I think between that and what I've gotten done on this bit and what I've gotten done on the nacelles and everything else, that's a goodly amount of work for 1 week. And that's going to bring us to the end of week 1 on the 350 scale K'Tinga from round 2. I've been looking forward to getting my hands on this ship for quite a while, and it has not disappointed. It's been a fun build. And getting out of the grays and blues was definitely a good change of pace, and no series of little tiny windows on this thing. All of the windows I could cover up with one strip. They're small, but they're not masked individually, so that's fun. But it's going really well. Got a lot done, plus a lot of the work for the second half of it, the back half that you haven't seen. Getting that done. So we should be able to wrap this up next week, I think. So until then, be good to each other, and try to stay warm. It's getting cold out there, folks.